In May 2023, after nearly 15 hours on the road from France, a convoy of specialized transport vehicles came to a stop in the remote mountains of central Spain. Pablo Chapera, head of Rewilding Spain, pulled hard and swung open the heavy metal door. Out of the darkness stepped several animals. These were no ordinary horses, but some of the last individuals of the Przewalski's horse population, a species that had once gone extinct in the wild. One horse cautiously took a few tentative steps, then suddenly dropped to the ground and began rolling wildly across the dry, barren soil. It rubbed its body against the earth, stomped its hooves, and sent clumps of dead grass flying into the air. For the first time, 10 horses were truly being given the chance to live freely across 5,700 hectares in Europe, but they had not released this extremely rare species simply to breed. At first, the horses were given a mission: to restore a dying landscape, not because it lacked greenery, but because it was facing another serious ecological crisis. Yet just 2 years later, hidden cameras had captured 5,000 hours of footage, and nearly every scene researchers watched left even leading ecologists astonished. How could these horses solve 4 problems so simply, triggering a chain of changes that completely transformed the forest? The Iberian Highlands are facing a very serious problem that you may have never heard of. This 2.1 million acre landscape is home to steep canyons, ancient oak forests, and lies largely within the European Union's Natura 2000 network. But this land is not declining because people destroyed it. It is declining because people left. Since the 1950s, young people have been leaving the mountains, many villages have become nearly empty, and the region has lost as much as 80% of its population. Sheep, goats, and cattle disappeared with them. Meanwhile, large herbivores and predators had once been hunted to the brink of extinction. And can you guess what happened next? Shrubs exploded. Tall grasses, young trees, and scrubs spread across the open spaces, turning the mountainsides into an increasingly dense sea of biomass. So, why not just release horses to graze it down? That was the original idea. But if it were really that simple, why use this rare wild horse? There were more reasons for releasing them. If your yard has too much grass, you should clear it out early, because the Iberian Highlands are facing something very similar. Dry grass, dense shrubs, and young trees build up into an enormous mass of fuel. A single spark can send flames racing all the way into the forest canopy. The Guadalajara wildfire once burned 13,000 hectares and killed 11 firefighters. Afterward, heavy rains continued to wash away the thin layer of fertile topsoil, exposing the slate beneath. Vegetation growing too densely also chokes out habitat for reptiles, quail, and small herbivores. The food chain weakens, affecting lynx, badgers, eagles, and vultures. The forest may look greener, but it is actually poorer in life and more vulnerable. Ecosystem restoration became essential. Rewilding Europe, together with Rewilding Spain, began pushing this process forward, and one of their most notable steps was bringing Przewalski's horses back to the Iberian Highlands. 2 years after the horses were released, what did 5,000 hours of footage reveal? How were they expanding habitats, increasing biodiversity, and reducing the risk of destructive wildfires? To understand the significance of this, you need to know that Przewalski's horses are the only horses capable of doing this. What if we release sheep, goats, or cattle instead? These livestock species can certainly eat grass, but by instinct they often remain concentrated in one area for too long. They tend to graze the same spots repeatedly down to the ground, causing overgrazing, leaving the soil bare, and degrading the vegetation. Przewalski's horses are better suited for the job, but we'll come back to that later, because right now there is an even more urgent problem. In 1969, Przewalski's horse was considered extinct in the wild. At one point, fewer than 20 breeding individuals remained in the world, and the entire population today descends from just 14 founding animals. Thanks to captive breeding and reintroduction programs, they gradually returned to Mongolia, China, and Kazakhstan. That means the herd that arrived in Spain also marked the first time Przewalski's horses were truly able to live freely in Europe. But to reach that moment in 2023, when the door finally opened, as you saw at the beginning of the video, the entire team had already gone through a much more stressful journey. Each horse had to be sedated before being loaded onto the transport vehicle. The veterinarian then administered a reversal drug, and normally the horse would wake up within just 1 or 2 minutes. But that time, one horse remained motionless. No response. Everyone stood close by, watching its chest for every breath and every small movement. Several minutes passed, and no one could be sure whether it would wake up. Finally, they made a loud noise to stimulate it, and the horse suddenly startled awake and lifted its head. Only then did the team finally breathe a sigh of relief. Once all 10 horses were loaded, the next challenge began. Nearly 15 continuous hours of travel from France to central Spain. They stopped only briefly to check the herd's water, food, and condition before continuing the journey. When they reached the Iberian Highlands, the horses were not released immediately. They were monitored for about 24 hours, then moved into a smaller acclimation enclosure for several weeks so they could adjust to natural food, the climate, and the terrain. 4 of the horses were fitted with GPS collars. Here, winter temperatures can fall to nearly 20 degrees Celsius, while summers are hot, dry, and highly vulnerable to wildfire. Rewilding is not simply about opening a gate and leaving animals to fend for themselves. We can see just how easy it is to push a species toward extinction and how difficult it is to bring it back. Also in 2023, after the first 10 horses arrived in the Iberian Highlands, the project received another 16 Przewalski horses in November from Hordobagi National Park in Hungary. That meant that within just a few months, the herd in the area had grown to 26 animals. Now let's get to what everyone is most curious about. What have these horses actually done to the landscape here? The first impact is easy to see, right beneath their feet. Unlike herds of sheep, goats, or cattle that are usually managed within a certain area, Przewalski's horses are constantly moving across the landscape. An adult can consume dozens of pounds of vegetation every day, mostly grass, but they do not stay in one place and graze everything down to the ground. The herd eats as it moves, leaving behind strips of shorter grass mixed with patches that remain tall. Small openings begin to appear in vegetation that was once dense and continuous. From a distance, this may not look like much, but when dozens of horses repeat this work every day, the landscape begins to break into different patches instead of remaining one thick, unbroken carpet of vegetation. That is exactly what ecologists want, a mosaic landscape. But Przewalski's horses do more than help reduce wildfire risk and increase biodiversity. They also help the plants already growing there develop more successfully. As their hooves press into the soil of the Iberian Highlands, they work like natural tillers, breaking up the hardened surface that formed after years without grazing animals. This process creates countless tiny cracks, depressions, and uneven patches, making the soil much looser and more porous. The improved soil structure allows air to circulate more easily, which means oxygen can penetrate into the ground. This is extremely important for soil microorganisms, fungi, and invertebrates. These invisible helpers play an essential role in creating healthy soil structure and maintaining fertility. The small depressions created by the horse's hooves also act like thousands of tiny natural reservoirs, holding rainwater where it falls and greatly reducing surface runoff. Retaining that water increases infiltration, allowing moisture to move gradually and evenly deeper into the soil. As a result, not only is water erosion reduced, helping prevent the loss of valuable topsoil, but soil moisture also increases significantly. This is especially important for the survival of young shoots and the overall health of the vegetation cover, particularly during the prolonged dry periods that are so common in the region. Along with these physical effects, Przewalski's horses also contribute to the soil through their manure. Horse manure is rich in potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus, acting as a completely natural fertilizer. As the manure decomposes, these important nutrients are slowly released and become available to plants. This encourages the growth of healthier and more diverse vegetation. At the same time, the organic matter and nutrients in the manure stimulate microbial activity in the soil, improving its ability to recover naturally and increasing its overall nutrient value, helping complete the natural cycle of soil fertility. Przewalski's horses are also a highly effective way to restore vegetation in areas that have become severely degraded for one reason or another. Imagine a horse finding a place to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner. While it is there, it may accidentally pick up seeds from nearby shrubs or roll on the ground and get seeds stuck to its body. Then the horse moves on to another area. It does not like staying in the same place for too long to graze. That new area may be a place where the land has already been degraded. The seeds carried on the horse's body fall there. This means new plants have a chance to grow, and a new layer of vegetation can begin to form. So far, we have seen 3 ways these horses affect and reshape the landscape here. There is still one final problem to explore, but before we get to that, there is something interesting we want to share with you. When the horses returned, they also unintentionally brought one man back to the place he had been forced to leave nearly 30 years earlier. That man was Pablo Villa, who was born and raised in Villanueva de Alcorón. He grew up around horses and worked with them alongside his family. But when raising horses was no longer enough to make a living, Pablo had to leave his hometown nearly 30 years ago. In 2023, when the Przewalski's horses were brought to the area, Pablo was invited to return and become the herd manager. Local residents call him by the nickname Potro, which means foal. The new job not only brought him back home, but also created an opportunity for his family to continue living in the village. About a year and a half later, Pablo said that one meadow that had once grown as high as his waist had been grazed down by the horses until it was so short and open that he compared it to a golf course. The final notable development is that these horses did not just survive, they began reproducing on their new land. About a year after the first group arrived in the Iberian Highlands, the first foals appeared within the herd. That was more than just an adorable moment caught on camera. The birth of a foal meant the herd had found enough food, adapted to the climate, established a stable social structure, and maintained healthy reproductive condition. By around 2025, the number of Przewalski's horses in the area was reported to have grown to about 35 animals. By this point, ecologists had realized something very important. Horses cannot do everything on their own. Przewalski's horses are highly effective at lowering the grass layer and opening up gaps, but shrubs, young pines, and woody vegetation are a different story. To restore the entire landscape, they needed more ecological workers, each with completely different feeding habits and effects on the land. So alongside the horse herd, the project continued expanding natural grazing, with Tauros cattle selectively bred to recreate part of the ecological role of the extinct aurochs. At Dehesa de Solanillos, Tauros live alongside Serrano horses. While the horses focus mostly on grass, the large cattle can move into rougher vegetation, break young trees, eat shoots, and have a stronger impact on woody vegetation. After about 3 years, the changes began to show clearly. Productive grasslands expanded, scrub became lower, many young pines were removed, and native oak trees gained more light to grow. Instead of a dense wall of green, the landscape gradually separated into a patchwork of grassland, low scrub, and woodland. But an ecosystem does not end with herbivores. Imagine a large herbivore dying in the mountains. In nature, that is not waste, it is a massive meal. And so the story moves from the ground into the sky. The program to bring the Eurasian black vulture back to the Iberian Highlands began in 2020. By 2025, around 37 individuals had been released through the program. Those broad wings began appearing once again over the canyons, searching for carcasses, feeding on soft tissue, and returning nutrients to the food web. The horses in Tauros create a landscape with herbivores. The vultures help complete their life cycle. An ecological layer that had once been missing was beginning to be rebuilt. Then in January 2026, an even larger species arrived. 9 European bison, including 5 females and 4 males, were brought to El Recuenco. This is the largest land mammal in Europe. They were not introduced just to create a spectacular sight. Researchers wanted to know whether an animal weighing hundreds of kilograms grazing, browsing, trampling the soil, and rubbing its body against trees could affect patches of woody vegetation that the horses had not fully dealt with. Now the landscape had multiple engineers, horses working on the grass, Tauros affecting rougher vegetation, and bison creating disturbance on a larger scale. But if you look closely at the food web, one major gap still remains: predators. The Iberian Highlands once had wolves and Iberian lynx, but many populations disappeared or declined. And you cannot simply bring in lynx and open the cage door. Lynx depend heavily on the European rabbit. If there are not enough rabbits, the predators cannot survive either. That is why, at Solanillos, about 60 camera traps were deployed to monitor rabbits, deer, roe deer, foxes, wildcats, badgers, and many other species. The immediate goal is to restore this small rabbit itself, the prey base that supports an entire predator layer above it. That is what makes this project so much bigger than simply releasing a few horses. The horses have returned. The Tauros have returned. Bison have appeared. Vultures are once again flying across the sky. Rabbits are being restored. And at the end of that chain, the Iberian lynx is still waiting for its chance to come back. Each species is like a missing piece being placed back where it belongs. The changes in the Iberian Highlands are not happening only in the forest. They are beginning to appear right along the village roads. Villanueva de Alcorón had fallen to fewer than about 200 residents. Many homes stayed closed year-round. Young people left because they saw no future there, and every for sale sign in front of an old house felt like another goodbye. But as rewilding began creating new jobs, the story slowly started to change. Pablo Villa, who had left his hometown many years earlier, returned to manage the Przewalski's horse herd. For him, the horses are more than a conservation project. They are the reason someone who once had to leave this land can now come back and make a living through work connected directly to nature. Then tourists began to arrive. They were not coming for shopping or luxury vacations. They came to watch Przewalski's horses running across the grasslands, follow Tauros, observe vultures over the canyons, and experience a landscape that is changing year by year. People such as Soraya Espinosa began developing nature tours centered around the horses and Tauros. Guides gained more work, guest houses received more visitors. Restaurants, handmade products, and local farm goods found more customers. Across the Iberian Highlands program, around 20 local jobs connected to rewilding have been recorded. That number may not look large on paper, but in a village of only a few hundred people, 20 jobs can mean the difference between a family staying or leaving. Young people also began to see this land differently. Local organizations such as Mycorrhiza work with communities around Molina de Aragon and Alto Tahoe to restore grasslands, protect water sources, rehabilitate degraded soil, and create new economic opportunities. The message is clear. Living in a rural area does not necessarily mean accepting fewer opportunities. However, a new problem emerged. The law had not kept up. Many horse herds were still regulated as livestock, meaning they had to be microchipped, documented, fenced, and inspected regularly. But the goal of rewilding is to allow them to live more freely and depend less on people. By 2026, regional authorities had begun recognizing some herds as wild or semi-wild, and that may be the clearest sign that rewilding is changing more than plants and wildlife. It is changing jobs, tourism, the way young people see their hometowns, and even the way the law defines an animal. A circle is beginning to form. People left, grazing disappeared, and the ecosystem weakened. Then wildlife returned, jobs appeared, tourists came, and some people began finding a reason to come home. From the first 10 Przewalski's horses introduced in 2023, the experiment quickly grew far beyond a single herd. By December 2025, another 6 horses had been brought into Alto Tahoe Natural Park. Across the Iberian Highlands, more than 100 large herbivores had been reintroduced, expanding natural grazing across roughly 20,000 hectares. Przewalski's horses keep the grass short. Tauros have a stronger impact on shrubs and woody vegetation, while European bison create larger areas of disturbance by trampling, rubbing against trees, and opening up the ground. At the same time, vultures have been reintroduced to process animal carcasses. Wild rabbits are being restored to rebuild the prey base, and the Iberian lynx is being considered as the next step. By this point, the goal is no longer simply to release horses to eat grass. They are trying to restore the jobs that a healthy ecosystem would normally perform on its own. Horses graze, bison open up the landscape, vultures clean up carcasses, rabbits support predators, and if the lynx returns, it will restore the missing predator layer. In the past, people had to cut grass, clear shrubs, manage the land, provide food, and control almost everything. Rewilding asks the opposite question. If enough of the missing lynx are brought back, could nature eventually do most of that work by itself? In 2023, all people could see were 10 horses stepping out of a transport truck. But what they were really trying to bring back was not just Przewalski's horses. It was an ecosystem that had lost the ability to function on its own. If this experiment succeeds, the most remarkable part will not be the return of the animals. It will be the moment when humans can begin to step back and let nature do its own work again. Do you think rewilding is the future of conservation? Leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and continue with the next video to discover an even more unbelievable story of nature's recovery.